The difference of what happens when you tell a child, let me just give you an example, hurry up, you're going to miss the bus. Or, what do you need to do so you'll be ready to catch the bus? Huge difference. One is stuffing in and one is drawing forth.
So going back to 1981, I'm just so fascinated that you started with this one book as a parent. And how many children do you have, Jane, in total?
7.
7 children and grandchildren now?
22. 22
grandchildren. And I'm sure as we speak, someone's probably having a baby or a granddaughter.
Well, I had 2 or 3, maybe 4 baby great-grandchildren born this last year. So that's up to now 20 also.
Wow.
And a lot of my grandchildren haven't started having children yet, so I'm sure they'll keep coming even long after I'm
It's
gone.
all changing and growing, and you know, I know that positive discipline has really been impactful in many homes and in schools, because I started as a parent with my spouse, and we used positive discipline in our marriage because I think in your first training manual, you wrote a lot about adults as well, because I know that we needed to go and take care of ourselves. So we had a Friday night, we would hire someone or a family member would watch our children, and then we would just get away. And then when I opened a school, because I wanted my children to have an education that was a little bit different, and I had come across Montessori. And when I came to San Diego from Atlanta, there weren't any Montessori schools, so I enrolled in a Montessori program, and then, you know, we grew. And that meant the teachers and myself needed more tools in the classroom. And at that time, I remember taking positive discipline in the classroom. First, we did a seminar and then took the training. So how did it all sort of grow for you? How did you begin to write? So you wrote your first book in 81. When did you write your training manual?
Well, actually, that came a little bit later. And you know, I self-published the first positive discipline, well, several versions of it, and just put a blank, order blank in the back. But let's back up just a little bit. I was an elementary school counselor in Elk Grove School District in California, where they got federal funding for a project.
I see.
I called it Project Accept, which was Adlerian counseling concepts for encouraging parents and teachers. And I worked with the teachers, teaching them the positive, well, they weren't called positive discipline then, but teaching them the tools. And I had 6 paraprofessionals who were teaching the parents the tools, and we had 2 experimental schools and 1 control, and the results were so good because the teachers were all having class meetings every day. Wow. One of the most amazing stories that came out of that. And at that time I was using another book called Discipline Without Tears, and we were using Children the Challenge. Well, the Discipline Without Tears went out of print, and because that's how it started to grow, and had federal funds to schools who wanted to adopt the program. And John Taylor was an Adlerian that both Lynn Lott and I had been to his workshop where he did experiential activities. We both loved that so much. And Lynn Lott and I were both Adlerians who had met at the Adlerian conventions. And she had started to write a book, and when she read mine, she said, okay, it's done, I don't need to do it. But we started working together, creating workshops on doing the experiential activities. There was a few that we had learned from John, but we started writing them. Actually, she had a bunch of interns, and they wrote quite a few of them. And then when we started creating the manual and called it Teaching Parent in a Positive Discipline Way, and we kept writing new activities, and because that's just to be the best way to teach.
So based on your experience, you would just go back, you and Lynn would brainstorm and write some of these activities and try it out. How did you try it out? Like, how did you?
Well, I remember going to Oregon, you know, because one of our most fun at beginning ones is the asking versus telling. The difference of what happens when you tell a child, let me just give you an example, hurry up, you're going to miss the bus. Or, what do you need to do so you'll be ready to catch the bus? Huge difference. One is stuffing in and one is drawing forth. And I was on my way to a preschool staff, and that just came to me, and I don't know what I just quickly wrote up some telling and some asking, and they just, at first I thought, oh, I couldn't do that. No way I could do that. And because Liz came, she probably had 20 or quite a few that she and her interns had worked on. And so we just started with those, and then they just kept going. So now, we have a lot of them. And we also have the manual. First it was for the parents, and then it was easy to translate them for the teachers. And then we had one of our certified facilitators, who said, hey, I think these tools would work in my marriage. And so they just took each tool and they applied it to the principle is the same, just changed it to their language for the couple. And they said, after 25 years of marriage, we felt like we were on our honeymoon. So I said, okay, let's do one called Keeping the Joy in Relationships for married couples. And then the empowering people. Well, because one gentleman said, this would work with my managers. So we came up with Dina, who's very experienced working in the business world with empowering people in the workplace. Yeah, so they're just universal tools that meet those 5 criteria, no matter what group of people that we're working with.
So it's expanded and it's grown. And how many countries is positive discipline in?
Well, we've had people who have taken our video training in 88 countries now. But we have strong groups like in France, Latin America, Mexico, Egypt, huge in Egypt now.
China,
oh, huge in China just before the epidemic. We had, I think, 10,000 trainers in China just before the COVID came. And
so 10,000 people have taken the training. Wow.
Well, that was just in France, just in China.
In China, yes. Just in China is what I meant, yes.
Right. Poland, they have a group, and the Netherlands has a group.
Now in
Morocco,
Turkey. Yeah.
Turkey, and several different countries.
Colombia
was huge.
That was incredible as well, because the precedent was really the mayor in Medellin invited the whole school system to adopt positive discipline. And I could tell you that when we added teaching parenting to our school for our school parents at 2 of the locations of our Montessori school, and then we were practicing it in our school. And when the parents came to the training and understood what we were doing in our schools and started implementing those principles at home, it just opened up a new way for communicating not just Montessori theory or just, child development theory with parents, but how we deal with situations. And when we were collaborating similarly at home and at school, we noticed the challenging behaviors dropped drastically. They didn't go away.
Right.
And we had a language between teachers and parents that was mutually understood.
Right.
And then we could create solving problems. And I think helping teachers problem solving steps that you spoke about, when we use those more effectively versus, let's try this, let's try that, it really led to more problems. But when we had solutions that were drawn forth from the entire environment, for all the staff members, or when we met with the parents, they lasted, because now parents had agreed, let me try this at home. What are you going to do at school to help this lovely human being go from these challenging behaviors to a different approach, where they can feel significance and belonging? And it worked.
Right. And what I have discovered is that so many people love this philosophy because it does reach their hearts. And they think, oh, wow, this is the kind of parent or teacher I really want to be. Like, I remember one teacher saying, I was ready to get out of teaching. She says, kids aren't the way they used. She says, now I enjoy teaching again. And that's, for me, the reason I wanted to share it. It helped me so much, I wanted to share it. And so we found, and then when we started teaching people to be facilitators, and so many people loved it, they said, that's where we created a positive discipline association. We wanted it to be, have this nonprofit organization that could really help with the training and the certification and help organize it to be. I am so glad it just wasn't this with me. I could never, ever have done what the association has been able, because so many people take ownership. They all love it and want to share it with others. And so that is now what are we coming up on our 20th anniversary of the Positive Discipline Association, even though positive discipline has been around since 1981. And of course, Adlerian psychology. It's interesting to me that Alfred Adler died the year I was born. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Yeah.